Right. Well, looks like we're live. One moment here. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Sentient Cloud. So, yesterday didn't end up streaming, but excuse me. I spent a fair bit of time yesterday working on this game, and I actually got a fair bit done. So let me go ahead and I'll move over to let's see, I think event is where a lot of things happened. It was very eventful. Um, so let me just show you guys kind of what's going on here. So basically, um, like a very nice, let me actually kind of back up a bit and show you guys. Uh, let's go here. Okay, so I've got, the initialization segment here, and then I have a run loop here. And a very kind of naive way of handling this run loop would be, you say, while, and then you'd go like, is the window open? Something like that. That's often what I would do. And I would often use, there's a function that GLFW supplies that's called, excuse me, oh gosh, what's it called? Something like GLFW window should close. And you check that, and it's like, oh, okay, the window's closed. Okay, well, end the program. And that's a way you can do things. However, like I said, it's a bit naive, and it doesn't make, it doesn't really expose what's going on to the entire application. And so what I thought would be a better way to go about it is to have a full-on event system that will actually manage all the various events. So I've got the header here. It's got a bunch of stuff here. So I've got, various types of events. I've got data for any given event. So for example, if I'm trying to talk about mouse motion, that at least for GLFW, which is the windowing API that I'm currently using, that reports it using doubles. So that's why I'm using these. If I am working with the keys, then it's going to report that using these bits here. I don't know, technically speaking, I don't know if, like, for example, these mods are going to be enough, if there's enough space there. I'm probably going to make some adjustments to this, but this is just like, kind of a basic thing here. So I've got, stuff like width and height, and probably make this into a U16. But point being, I've got a union here storing all of the possible event data. I'll have to fill this in with more stuff later. And then I've got this thing called event func, which is just a function pointer that allows me to kind of alias this particularly long and cumbersome thing. That. And then down here at the bottom, we've got this event manager. And all this does is it stores all of the event handlers that I want. It allows me to put in new handlers or remove them, and also fire events. So basically, let me actually go to the actual source file. So all this does is it goes in and it checks to make sure that whatever event I'm trying to put in does not already exist. If it already exists, then I don't want it to be copied. So in that sense, it's basically like a list. And then, so same kind of deal with the unregister. If there is no event that matches the one that I'm trying to unregister, it is going to fail. Now, one thing I do need to do is I need to have a distinction between warnings and errors. So if an event is if the program attempts to re-register or tries to unregister an event that doesn't exist, I don't want it to fail. I don't want it to destroy the program or crash. I just want it to tell me. that, hey, this was wrong. You shouldn't have done this. And same kind of thing with fire event. This may end up being just straight up removed because I could foresee an instance where an event is fired, but there are no handlers for it. That's probably going to happen a fair bit. But for now, I'm just going to leave it like this. Because I do still kind of want to know about it. So maybe I'll see if I can set some sort of debug. But anyway, that's kind of the basics of the event system. And then if I go to the game here, it initializes it during the init step, and then it, as you can see here, this onClose function is one of the event functions that it is using. So in this case, it just checks if the, like onClose, it's just going to call this, and then it's going to attempt to stop running the program. Oh, what did I change here? Did I? Okay. And yeah, so I've got this event manager here, and every kind of component in the system is going to receive the event manager as a reference. So if I go to the window header, you can see here we've got a reference to that event manager because that event manager needs to be able to communicate with every single component of the system. The alternative way you could handle that is by using a global, and I might do that, but I think this will work well enough for now. And it's a little easier to debug. Now, the thing that I'm currently working on is this. I've already got that open. Hold on, let's go somewhere else. We'll go to the source file for the window, because there's some interesting stuff in here. So, as you can see, I've got all this code to start the window, and then right here, this is just sending the window pointer to GLFW, because GLFW has basically it allows you to create callback functions for the window you've created, and in order to access any information outside of the GLFW window, you have to supply it with a pointer that it can then call back and get later. And so that's kind of what I'm doing here. And so for these callback functions, all it's going to do is attempt to fire events for from the event manager. So it will get the event manager using the window pointer, and then it'll create an event. In this case, for the close callback, it's going to create a close event. It's going to tell it that the sender is window, because there may indeed be cases where I need to know the sender of this. And then it's just going to send that event or fire it. And you got things here like the window resize event, key callbacks. There are going to be more that I'm going to have to create, but these are a couple basic ones that I will definitely need. And so that's basically what's going on. These I may end up replacing because, I don't know, it feels weird to have them set up like this. It just feels a little odd. But anyway, the end result of this, let me go ahead, I'll exit full screen here, and let me call this. Oh shoot. That's kind of a problem. I've actually been noticing errors with my build system, which is rather annoying, because I spent a fair bit of time trying to figure out how to make it work. So let me just... Okay. Called a throwing instance of file system error. Cannot get file time, no such file or directory. Okay, well, there is one way to, or a way to make this work. Hold on, let's, what is missing? Okay, so that exists. ls build Okay, so... Huh. Okay, well, I am just going to go ahead and just going to remove all of the contents of the build folder, and that should make this work. I'm going to have to fix that because that's proving to be more of a headache. There we go. Okay. Now you can't really see anything because this is, a black background, but just to kind of give you guys an idea. Let's see. Can I show this easily? See if I can add in. It's a screen capture. Let's see. Game. That. Okay. Let me find. There we go. Pong. Now, currently, this is covering up the other window because of the positioning. I'd have to move it around a bit. But you can get an idea. Like, it's all black, but that's gonna... Hold on. Let me just move it off to the side here. And actually, let me close that real quick. Let me make some modifications, because that way you guys will be able to see what I'm talking about. I think I can just call GL clear color, and let's do we'll just go with white. That's very obvious. I think I just have to set that once. I don't think I have to set that multiple times. Okay. Okay, so why would that be doing that? I definitely need to fix that. That's just incredibly annoying to deal with. There we go. Okay, why is that not showing the... Hold on. There we go. So you can see now I've got a window opened with a white background, and what's important here is that if I close this, it's going to end the program because I have that window close callback sending that event to the event system. So the event system figures out, oh, I need to send a close event, and then the game itself will see, oh, this on close is being called. It's going to stop the game from running and end the whole thing. So let me just get rid of that now, and we'll continue working on this. Okay. So, let's see. Maybe I should actually figure out what's going on with that. Yeah, that's proving to be more annoying than I had anticipated. Yeah, I'm gonna have to work on debugging that here, but for now, we'll work on this. Okay, so like I said, working on an entity component system for this game. There is a really helpful article. Let me go ahead and link it because I just find it helpful, and I think is that the entire thing? Hold on. Yeah, that is. Okay. Just do that. There we go. Okay, so that's the article that I'm referencing to kind of help inform my writing of this. I don't like I'm for now at least I'm gonna be copying kind of one for one, but in the future I'm going to be probably modifying it, making it more so my own. So for now we're just kind of working with this. Let me just go ahead and uncomment this. I haven't really filled in anything with these, so there's really no processing going on. So let me actually open it. HPP. Oh, never mind, hold on. Entity here. So just a real quick kind of thing here. This is the header that stores vec and allows me to kind of write out some stuff. So I've got this union here, which stores all the data. It's got things like X and Y, because that's a pretty common use case for vectors. I've got U and V, because that's another common use case for vectors. And then some operators that I am working with here. Dot product is pretty common. Scaling is pretty common. Anything else here? Let's see. I've got A, B, C, D, and this is more specifically for quaternions. So at the moment, I'm assuming a fairly small number, right? Like a Pong game is not terribly complicated. Even if I were to go and, because my thought process here is, I'm going to make a very basic implementation and then I'll expand it to include things like maybe some power-ups for, like, you are playing the game, you can hit the ball into a particular spot within the middle, and then that will have a power-up. So, like, actually, let me kind of get an idea of what I'm thinking here, because this is something I've actually thought about a little bit. So let me just go ahead and do... Geez. Okay, so we would have something like, one player has their little bar here, and then you've got the ball here. Let's put an asterisk, and then the bar there. So the ball is moving around, whatever, and down somewhere in the middle of the screen, in the middle of the field, there's going to be like a little power up that will make the ball go faster, or will make it explode into multiple balls, or something like that. Something to kind of make the game more interesting. That's kind of something I'm wanting to do at some point. And so that will require more entities to be registered, but I don't think it's going to exceed I don't foresee it exceeding like 100. At less than that even would probably be the case. It might not even exceed a dozen. You never know. I'm not totally sure yet. However, that said, this system will end up being used for other things in the future, so I will have to ensure that it can expand at some point, but for the moment it's not going to exceed like 100, I would wager, or something in that range is probably more so likely. Okay, but the maximum that I've currently got set is 5,000. So, all right, let me here. Okay. Let me just... Okay. Okay. Let's see. So... Okay, well, like I said, I'm basically just going to be copying this stuff for the moment, and then I'll kind of work through making it fit my particular sensibilities. Should I put that into a component, or should that be its own separate thing? Okay, so yeah, just call it class. I'm not particularly fond of the interface syntax, but that is what's being used, so I'll play along for now. What does setting it to default actually do? Is that just kind of like explicitly forcing it to use the default constructor? Let's make sure. Actually getting that. Let's do default constructor. Okay. Let's see. Class name, default. So default deleted. It's implicitly declared. Implicitly declared false. Okay. Explicitly defaulted calls. Okay, so that's just making sure it's explicitly default. Okay. And let's go ahead. We'll do virtual void. Use my own preferred syntax, or naming convention. That. Template. Name. So that takes the T. I can't really just straight up copy that because I've still got to modify all that. Okay, so let's see. Into the same entity more than once. Okay, yeah, that's definitely something I'm going to have to check for. And so in that case, I'm going to make this... Actually, no, that can be an assert. One of the things that I personally kind of struggle with is deciding whether or not something should be an assert or a like a valid error state. You know, there are ways to decide that, but I've just kind of never fully figured out whether I want it to be a valid error state or an assert. Entity indices. Okay. So let's go to here and do entity indices. That's going to be a, let's see. That's going to map entities to usize. Okay, that's an unordered map that he's using. Good to know. One thing that always puzzled me is why people use the M, like the sort of M syntax for members. I don't know. It always felt really weird to see. Is that ordered map or yeah? Use that header. Okay. Just feels kind of weird and kind of clunky looking. Yeah. Well, and asserts are great when you're developing stuff because obviously, like if you're developing the program crashing and um, like reporting, oh, this error occurred, is perfectly acceptable. And in fact, like if I were writing a program where it accepts a pointer and it could possibly be null, then it is valid for it to be null under certain circumstances, and assert doesn't really work. But if you're expecting it to never be null, then obviously using an assert there is a decent way of guaranteeing that. Let's go ahead and assert there. Okay, so there's that, and then I need, let's see. Okay, so interesting. Kind of surprised that's there. That's interesting. It's kind of weird. Okay, anyway. So need use size index equals size. Okay, yeah. Wait, so hold on then. Wait. Why not just initialize the vector? Oh, that's weird. Like, I kind of understand the impetus to use arrays, right? It's, a easier way to do things, I guess. Yeah, we'll do it. I'll just do that for now, but I do want to try and work on some of this stuff. I'm just gonna call this components. And actually, I'm just gonna change this. It doesn't actually matter. It shouldn't matter what the backing data structure is. So calling it an array feels a little weird. So we'll do it like this. Okay. And let's call this data. Okay, we've got entities mapped to indices, and we'll also have to map the indices to the entities. So index entities. There we go. Okay, so here, oh, and we want the size as well. So let's just size. Okay. So size and then entity indices at entity. Oops. It's going to equal index, and then index entities at index. It's going to equal entity. So just mapping things back and forth so that we know where everything is, and then do data index equals component. And then increment the size. Okay, so that's insert, remove. We need entity. Don't need anything else. Indices. Find. Yeah, that does not, or sorry, if it does equal the end, component doesn't exist. Okay. Why is that complaining? Why is that unhappy? Expected expression. Oh, does it not? We do not have an array. Hold on. Include array. Huh? Okay, what's going on here? Crazy, what's going on here? Indices. Is it because is it because it's a class? What's going on here? That's not it. Okay, so what gives? Why are we not happy? Oh wait. That's why. Okay, stupid. Okay. Okay. Let's keep going. So go down here. Okay, cool. So remove. Let's see. Size of, let's see. Entity indices. X of last element. Why would that? Interesting. Not sure why. So data, let's see, index equals, oh, actually that's kind of, okay, hold on, that's actually kind of clever. So one of the things I was actually legitimately worried about and that I wasn't totally sure how I was going to fix, so when you're dealing with the whole impetus behind a component, an entity component system, ECS, is you want to make it so that the data that you're working with is packed tightly, right? Because that makes cache performance better, and that's the main benefit, is it improves cache performance, which is very important when you're talking about like sending data to the GPU, when you're talking about just working with the data in general, right? Important stuff. And so I was thinking, okay, how am I going to, compress this array and make sure that it's all contiguously valid data? And so it appears that the way that it's doing that is just taking the last element and just putting it in place of whatever element you remove. It's assuming that you're removing only one element at a time, which is not always a valid assumption, but this is definitely a better way, like as far as like just performance goes, it's much better because the actual order of the elements isn't strictly important as long as they are, um, as long as like the maps that are being used are updated to reflect the changes in the organization of the component array. So that may actually be a better way of doing that. That's actually kind of clever. Okay, let's just make sure we've got last element there. Okay, and then let me go back here. Okay, now we update the, let's see. Okay, so entities, we'll just do, you know, I'm going to change that to last index because last index makes more sense to me. Okay. And then we want the indices at last, oops, equals index, oh, wait, hold up, index of removed entity. Huh. That's a little weird. Index equals date to moved spot. I'm not, wait, why? So entity of last element, we're getting that. Okay, so it's setting the index of the last element to the removed one. Okay, and then index of removed entity. Right, okay. So yeah, that's just updating those. And then let's see. What am I trying to do here? Hold on. To last entity. Okay. So that's just updating those, and then entity indices. Oops. Nice. Oh, does that work? Oh, it does. It does. Okay, we're good. We're good. Entities. Race. Last index. I think that should work. Okay. Oh, and then decrement size. Interesting. Okay. We'll have to experiment with this, see if this actually does work. Because I actually haven't tested this part. I tested the event system, and it does seem to do what it's supposed to. But this is a little bit more experimental. I've never actually done anything like this. Okay, get data. So now I need to, whoops. We'll do that. Okay, and so T indices. Okay, and this turns data T indices. Hmm. there's actually a slightly better... I think there's a slightly better way to do this. It's not, like, groundbreaking by any means. Just do this, and then insert... There. And then I think we can just do this. I think. So that's checking to see if it has an index, or yeah. And then if it turns out that there is no index, then it'll just do this, and this should just access that data. Okay, so that should work mildly better. It's a little bit less clunky to write. Okay. Let's go into destroyed. Entities component if it existed. Okay. So the last one is there. Okay. Okay, so oh, I did that in reverse order. Okay, let's go. Okay, so entity destroyed should, well, I suppose it is possible that it could be called. Ideally, it wouldn't be, but, you know, that's always possible that it'll happen. So, yeah, we'll leave it like this for now. Okay, remove data. Let's see. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. There. Okay. To use events that I can subscribe to an entity destroyed event, and then accordingly. Okay. So every single frame. Okay, so that there apparently is a slightly less what you call it, object-oriented solution that the guy talks about. So I may end up kind of trying to work on that a bit. Yeah, that actually does seem like a good idea, but for now, I'll let that be. Okay. All right, we are coming up on 45 minutes. So I've done a fair bit of work here. I want to figure out. Actually, let's see. Do I want to work on this? I think I want to work on this on my own time. I kind of want to play around with it and see what I can make work rather than kind of fumbling around on stream. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. So 45-minute stream, not too terribly short. So I'm just going to go ahead and yeah. And there are various things like performance penalties for using virtual functions. There are performance penalties for using the maps, the unordered maps. So I might try and play around with it and see what I can manage. But I mean, for the time being, like I said, the numbers of actual entities that I'm likely to be using is pretty small. So I may not even, and this is something I probably won't need to worry about. I'm not likely to be running into a situation where I'm using like, a gigabyte of memory, and even if I were, it's not like the end of the world. So yeah, I'll have to work and play around with this a bit, but it's not terribly, it's not a terribly large problem. Anyway, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here. So thank you for watching, and I will see you again probably tomorrow. I'm trying to get a bit better about streaming continuously. But, we'll see. So, have a great day.